Hey, it's Nathan. It's been forever since I made a video, but I'm back with another one. I'm going to try this year to do at least a recap video for each month of the year. So we'll see how that goes. This is going to be my January 2020 recap, and I did quite a bit of gaming in January, so I'll just try and talk briefly about some of my gaming experiences. Probably the most exciting gaming experience that I had in January was I finally wrapped up my campaign of Pandemic Legacy Season 2. I was playing with a couple of other guys, and we finally wrapped that up in January. So it had been a pretty long thing. I played through Season 1 with these same two guys, so it was kind of neat to have the experience of going through both of those games, both seasons of that game, with the same group, and to have that shared experience. It was really cool to see the story play out as we played through the game. It was also neat to watch the rules of the game change, new actions become available, new objectives pop up, and yeah, just to enjoy all of that. That was pretty cool. So it was a great experience, and I would recommend it to anybody who enjoys regular Pandemic, or if you just enjoy cooperative strategy games, or if you just like games that have a strong story element. I think you would really enjoy Pandemic Legacy. Definitely play Season 1 before you play Season 2. Each season that has kind of a big twist in it. I think the twist in Season 2 is really cool, but it won't mean a whole lot to you if you haven't played through Season 1. So definitely play Season 1 first if you're going to play uh, Pandemic Legacy. I also played a couple of other games. A game called The Grizzled. It's a cooperative game from a while back. It's a card game, pretty simple game. I like it. I think it's interesting, the theme and why it was made, and they go into that in the beginning of the rulebook. They explain kind of the story behind the game, and so that was really cool to play a game and to kind of know what the story behind why the game was made. That was really interesting. The game itself was fun. I liked it. I was expecting it to be really hard because I had heard it was really hard, and we found it not especially challenging. Although we had a lot more communication than we were supposed to. We didn't realize till later that you're not supposed to really talk too much about what cards are in your hand and that kind of thing. So we had a lot more open communication than you're supposed to, and that probably made it somewhat easier than it should have been. But even so, it didn't seem really as difficult as I imagined it would be. We also played a game called Sky Traders, which is fine. I like the game well enough. I didn't end up keeping the game because I feel like I have other games that do something similar in a way that I enjoy more. But it's a fine game. And then finally we played a game called Catacombs, 3rd edition, which is, it's a flicking game with a sort of like fantasy dungeon crawl theme. So one player is like the overlord of the dungeon, and he has various monsters represented by little discs, little wooden discs with stickers on them. And then the other players are the heroes, and each of them has a wooden disc with their hero, with a sticker of their hero on it. And you're basically like flicking these discs around. The heroes are trying to knock out the monsters are trying to knock out the heroes. Each hero has special abilities, which are on cards, and the monsters likewise have special abilities on cards, and it's a pretty cool game altogether. I like it, and I backed the Kickstarter a while ago, which gave me the core game and a bunch of expansions. So I have a lot of material for the game, and I imagine it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of replayability with all the expansions. So that was a cool game. I've also kind of gotten into a mode of getting rid of a lot of games. Basically, I've filled my shelves, and so any new games that I play, I have to either play them and then pass them on, or I have to pass on one of the other games that I have and replace it with a new game. So because I've gotten to that point in my collection, I've been getting rid of some older games. So just real quick, some of the games that I've gotten rid of and why. I got rid of Coup Rebellion, which is like another version of the game Coup. Simple card game, kind of a bluffing game. Coup Rebellion just came in a bigger box, had room for expansions, and it even had one expansion that was released for it, but that was it. So it's kind of like an advanced version of Coup, and I just felt like I'm not going to get the use out of this that for the size of the box, how much space it was taking up on the shelf and whatnot. Like I have the regular Coup, and there's just this tiny little box I can tuck away somewhere. So anyway, so I gave that away to a friend. Another game I passed on was Hostage Negotiator. Hostage Negotiator is a really cool solo-only game that has a couple of cool mechanisms. You kind of build your hand of cards each turn. You has a dice mechanism. A lot of the game is about like the mitigating the luck, and that was cool. I liked everything about the game. The only reason I passed it on to somebody else is because I had like the base game and a bunch of expansions, which gave me something like a dozen different scenarios, and I'd played through all the scenarios. I'd won against all the scenarios, so I just felt like I had experienced everything that the game had to offer me. So, but yeah, definitely Hostage Negotiator was a great game. I enjoyed it a lot. I also passed on a game called Android Infiltration, fun push your luck game set in the Android universe. I really like the Android universe from Fantasy Flight Games, and Infiltration was a cool game set in that universe. But it was basically push your luck, and I like push your luck games, but I have Celestia, which is another cool push your luck game. Comes in a smaller box, more approachable, I think, for a larger variety of people. So Android Infiltration had to go. I mentioned Sky Traders already. Fine game, just basically buying and picking up and delivering different kinds of goods and playing a stock market a little bit, trying to manipulate that stock market. It was cool, but I have other games that do something similar. Another game I played is called The Master's Trials, and this is another one that I got rid of. I think it's called The Master's Trials Wrath of Magmaroth or something like that. It's a pretty cool game, cooperative. You're basically building an engine by buying cards and placing them on this board, and then you roll some dice, and depending on the numbers that come up on the dice, you can trigger different cards up from your board. It's a really cool system, and I liked it, but it is really hard. Like, so hard that my sister and I playing it on the easiest mode could not beat it like 3 times in a row, and like not even close. Like we'd get to the end boss, but as soon as we got to the end boss, it was obvious like we didn't have a chance. So, you know, I enjoy games that give some kind of challenge. I like a challenge in a game, but I like to feel that at least as I'm learning the game, there's like at least a mode of the game where I feel like I have a decent shot of being able to win. And when the easiest mode of the game is like, I don't even understand how we can play this better, you know? It's kind of like, I think the challenge of this game is just a little above me for me to really enjoy it. So, ironically, I gave it to my sister, and then she played it with a couple of other friends, and they beat it. So maybe I was the one bringing us down. But anyhow. And then finally, I got rid of my D&D 4th edition collection. I had a massive collection, probably like around 30 or more books for D&D 4th edition, and I let it all go. Gave it to my nephew. So it's a fine system. I like it well enough. I had a lot of fun with it while I owned it, but it has been a few years since I played it, and I've really settled on a game called Fantasy Age as my go-to fantasy RPG. So if I do another fantasy RPG campaign in the future, I'm going to be using Fantasy Age. So no reason to hang on to those books that were taking up a lot of space. That's basically my month in review as far as gaming goes. So probably the standout game so far was Catacombs. Um, really fun experience. I can see playing that a lot more in the future. Um, got rid of a lot of games. Didn't really have any bad experiences gaming this month. Nothing that I would say don't play or avoid. You know, plenty of good games played. So fun time. Um, you will notice, like I said, I've gotten rid of a bunch of games, and part of that has to do with the fact that my collection is just getting so big. And I've thought a lot about my collection recently, and I've come to the kind of a different feeling about buying games, collecting games, etc. I realize I have a lot of games that just don't get played. I still have a stack of like 5 or 6, 7 games that I haven't played yet. So I want to get to play those as soon as possible. But I also realize I have a lot of games on the shelf that I've only played once or twice, and I like them. They're good games, but it's just I keep buying new games, and I want to get the new games played, so I don't get back to them, and I think that's a waste for me personally. So I'm trying going forward, especially this coming year, to really cut back on how many new games I buy. Instead, try and play all the games I have, and then go back and play them again, especially the ones that I really enjoyed. And I'll probably be trying to, shrink my collection down even a little bit more as time goes by. So anyway, that's what's going on with me as far as gaming this month, and look forward to gaming in February. I hope that you have had some good gaming experiences. Please, if you have any experiences with any of the games I've mentioned, or any other good games you've played in January, mention them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And thanks for watching.